Wall Street veteran Bernard Madoff has been arrested and charged with running a $50 billion Ponzi scheme.
Congress wants to know what caused the Enron meltdown.
Now, while the collective rage currently is focused on WorldCom,
Tyco CEO Dennis Kozlowski was convicted of looting hundreds of millions of dollars.
This is one of the biggest fraud cases ever.
Their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Find out more on this week's episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
In 1904, in the city of love, Paris, representatives from 7 nations, Belgium, Denmark, France, the Netherlands, Sweden, Switzerland, and Spain met. 10 years before the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand would cause some of the nations to come together in a common fight. They did so here in France to ink into existence the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, or FIFA for short. This organization would go on to oversee what has become the most popular sport in the world, football, or soccer for our North American listeners, which is most of you. The main event put on by FIFA is an international championship known as the World Cup, the last of which in 2018 in Russia garnered 3.5 billion viewers. To put that into perspective, the largest viewership for a Super Bowl of all time was in 2015 with 114.4 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So the 2022 World Cup this year is being forecasted to blow past that number, though, with an estimated 5 billion watchers. But everything hasn't been exactly football pitch perfect with FIFA, as the organization has been caught up in a corruption scandal since the early 2010s over their selection for these 2 World Cup locations, the investigation of which ended with the indictment of 27 individuals. So today, we take a look back at how one of the most powerful entities in the world that have ruled the most popular sport for over a century have disgraced their name. And no, it's not about how glitchy FIFA 22 is.
Where are they having it this year?
They are having it in Qatar.
Oh.
It is the first time the World Cup will be in the Middle East.
Cool.
Ever. It's also the first time the World Cup will be held outside of summer in its long and illustrious career, because it's too hot in Qatar to have it in the summer, and they don't want people dying. So they moved it to the winter when it's still hot, but like less hot.
When is it?
Oh, it's starting soon, actually.
I heard somebody talking about the World Cup today at work.
I think November. November goes through December or something.
How long is it?
It's like a month. Because they've already had the qualifiers, I think, to get into it, but then they have like the whole pools, and then there's a tournament at the end, so it like takes a little bit. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people go, and before you say cool to it, there's actually a lot that we're going to get into about like, oh, maybe it's not so cool. Also, a quick note, I just wanted to touch back on something we've talked about before when we went through Monsanto, which is now Bayer, about glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in Roundup, you might remember. So in the hope that we are honest in our reporting, if that's what you really want to call it, like for people that actually listen to us for advice, which, hey, the only advice you should listen to from our show is don't listen to us for advice.
I give great advice.
No, she doesn't.
I give the best advice.
Not listen to her. But glyphosate, I just wanted to mention, I read a couple of articles recently that new research has emerged hinting that the non-Hodgkin lymphoma cases previously linked to glyphosate can actually be traced back to chance mutations in stem cell development. So it's probably not glyphosate. But that being said, there was a bunch of other things in that episode that Monsanto is not cool for. So it wasn't just that one, but we hit on it a lot. And I figured, well, if the science changes, we'll let you guys know that too. Welcome back, everybody, to White Collars, Red Hands. My name's Kashan.
And I'm Nina.
And now, on to FIFA. In order to better understand the scandal, let's look first at how FIFA is organized. So basically, FIFA is a federation, no der, the first F is for federation, but it is composed of many smaller confederations. Honestly, this thing is huge. It's an international company that literally oversees soccer everywhere in the world.
That's a lot of soccer.
Yes, it is. These confederations also include a bunch of member associations all over the world. There are 6 different confederations, one each for Africa, Europe, North and Central America, Oceania, and South America. Don't ask me where Oceania is. I didn't look it up.
That is like Australia.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
And
Unlike you, I'm good at geography.
and like New Zealand, like that's Oceania. Interesting. Okay, well, you learn something new every day. Each of these confederations have 11 to 54 member associations. Also, fun fact, FIFA has more member associations than countries in the United Nations, holding 211 and 193 respectively.
Wow.
And it's because FIFA actually recognizes some associations that are countries that aren't recognized by the United Nations. So they have like every country plus some.
Well, I feel like also soccer would bring the world together a little bit better. The love of the sport. It really bands together people.
Yeah, except for here, where everyone makes fun of it constantly in America.
Well, we're dumb.
It's becoming more popular, but yeah, people. I remember growing up and everyone's like, soccer's stupid. These confederations hold their own tournaments themselves. The Confederation of North Central America and Caribbean Association, Caribbean Association Football. It's the stupidest name. With the long as hell acronym CONCACAF.
CONCACAF!
For instance, hosts.
I'm going to start saying that when something goes wrong. It just sounds like something went wrong. CONCACAF!
This is CONCACAF, bro, as the Zoomers say. They host the Gold Cup, which is their championship, and they all of them have championships, and they all host international stuff as well, but FIFA oversees all of them. But these member associations all play for bids to get their place in the World Cup. So they have to bid for them to put the World Cup in their country.
Oh, kind of like the Olympics.
Kind of like the Olympics.
Yeah.
And kind of like, oh, well, I guess the Super Bowl is just chosen. They don't have to do it. But yes, kind of like the Olympics. Now, how does FIFA choose where the World Cup is to be held? It seems to be a lot like, you said, the Olympics, where there are bids from host nations all vying for a chance to get the possible tourism money from the event into their country.
Or it's kind of like the Goblet of Fire.
The Goblet of Fire is held at each of the
I thought
schools
Hogwarts
in a rotation, actually.
Oh, it's in a rotation.
It just happened to be at Hogwarts that year, yeah.
Oh, well, look who knows more about Harry Potter than me. Look who's a fucking nerd.
Read the books again, bro.
What are you? You're probably a Slytherin.
I am a Ravenclaw, thank you very much.
Oh.
I am curious and smart.
Guess what I am?
Hufflepuff, for sure. You're the most Hufflepuff person I've ever met in my life. And yeah, that's an insult. It is.
It's because I'm bad at everything.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Sometimes I get Gryffindor.
No,
depending
bro.
on the test.
You're great at finding things, which is what they say about Hufflepuffs. I'm like, yeah, you can find your way out the door at this party because no one wants you here, dude.
Oh, wow. Jesus Christ, Kashan. I dated this guy who had a Harry Potter tattoo, and then he broke up with me, and I was like, is it because I'm a Hufflepuff?
It 100% was.
Is it because I'm a Hufflepuff?
You should internalize that and keep that. You might think, back to FIFA, you might think that FIFA allows the member countries to elect the location for the World Cup from these bids by a vote in their Congress, which, yes, FIFA has a Congress where they have a representative from each one of the member associations and they meet and vote on things. It's crazy. They run this thing like a government. It's insane.
It kind of is a little government.
It is. They have representatives from all over the world. But that would mean democracy. Boo. Instead, they create an oligarchy known as the FIFA Council, which consists of 24 members chaired by FIFA's president. And those 24 people have complete power to choose the next holder of the World Cup.
So the council is like the Supreme Court?
Ish, yeah. They're like all high-ranking FIFA members that they then put into this council that we'll talk a little bit about what they do, but they have complete control over where it goes and all the decisions made for that.
This is a democracy!
The boo.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
It was in one of the Star Wars movies. Right before Anakin turned into Darth Vader and took over.
Oh, it sounded like you were doing Admiral Akbar, but I'm not sure.
I think it might have been Vice Lord Gunray. Or no, that's not his name. Never mind. But somebody in the council's like, this is a democracy!
You were trying your best to be to be nerdy today.
And so then it's not working. I'm only halfway
Was it
there.
a fish man?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you're doing the voice. That's the other thing, because Admiral Akbar is that same race. So he's like that. It's a trap. He sounds like Richard Nixon. Just does. So these countries, they put their bids together, all right, which have to meet all of these strict guidelines, basically showing that your country has the correct infrastructure to support the event, stadiums, hotels, both for players and for visitors, all that good stuff. The members of the FIFA Council get to travel to each country making a bid to inspect these elements.
But that means fuck the bitches of the country.
Yes, in a way.
He's like, let me check the amenities.
Quite eloquently put, yeah.
These ones, they're a little heavier than these ones, but the stamina of this country outweighs the stamina of this one.
Oh, you were talking about weight. I was like, I just imagined them
meant-
holding two titties.
Yeah, that was me holding
great. So
two
we were on
different women's titties.
Okay, we were on the same page then.
But if they're uneven, they'll still weigh different.
Can we need to put like a Nina grabbing her own breast counter meter? Because it's
Maybe
like
twice.
I don't know about that. It's been twice that you remember, but you forget everything. I think you've done it quite more. You know, honestly, that'll be me in editing. Put a Nina boob grab counter and put that to 2. Okay, thank you.
Ding.
There will be a ding. Where was I?
They're inspecting the elements.
That's of course, yes. Basically, just getting free vacations where they get wined and dined, and I guess as Nina put it,
69.
okay, that's good. In the end, representatives from each country, including many heads of state and other such, I knew you were going to do something, and other such powerful people attend a summit where 2 countries are selected to host the next couple of events that take place, which take place every 4 years.
Wait.
By the way, just like the Olympics.
So 2 countries are hosting stuff?
So they pick the next 2.
Oh,
so they have a summit every around 8 years to pick the next
2
2 holders of the World Cup. Because the 3 years up to that, they were literally traveling around and going to all these places and having a good time. Exactly. FIFA then goes about footing almost none of the bill for the event because in 2014, many protests arose after it was released that the World Cup in Brazil cost the nation almost $15 billion in a country where almost 30% of their people live in poverty.
Yeah, that's shitty.
So, and meanwhile, FIFA raked in the dough, producing over $2 billion in profit after accounting for their costs. They made a total of $4 point something billion in revenue, and then after their costs, they still made an overhead profit of $2 billion.
Yeah, and then it's like, how much did Brazil make?
See, that's the thing.
Because it's like, you do have to factor in all the tourism that's going into the country.
They did make money, but did you really think they made enough money from that? To make back $15 billion?
No, that $15 billion could have definitely been allocated to actually help citizens.
Plus, there are definite examples of the Olympics, for instance, bankrupting countries almost because they decided to host the Olympics and make all of the things for the Olympics and then literally almost putting their country under. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The World Cup is also the main moneymaker for FIFA, as it was reported 70% of their profit for the 3 years leading up to the event were from selling broadcast deals and sponsorships for the event. So they host all these other things and they may get revenue from that, but basically they make all of their money from this one event every 4 years. And it's a lot of money. Many companies were partnered with FIFA and paid heavily to be able to run their ads during the event or to use the FIFA logo on merchandise, such as, and here's a few, McDonald's, Budweiser, Adidas, Coca-Cola, etc. There's many.
Big name companies.
Yeah, because the biggest companies in the world are the ones that, are sponsored by FIFA or sponsor FIFA. That being said, we don't know, like you said, how much Brazil made back from the event, but something must be good about hosting it because countries are falling over themselves, rushing to suck off the FIFA Council. Because Bill Clinton, known for sucking off, Bill Clinton, who was there to propose America for the landing spot of the 2022 World Cup, supposedly broke a mirror in his hotel room in anger after not being selected.
I think he just has anger issues.
I don't know. Politicians probably do all behind closed doors. I bet they smash stuff all the time. But,
Oh, yeah.
you know, is what it is. And who did the bid for the 2022 World Cup go to? Well, we already fucking spoiled it. It's Qatar. A choice which had everyone surprised. Qatar is a very rich nation, but extremely small. They don't have the infrastructure to support the event and have since been in a rush to build the stadiums and hotels necessary. They had none of it. Side note, this is a small side note. This could be a whole nother episode, honestly, so I'm just going to mention it here. It's really awful, but it has been reported that 6,500 workers have died building these stadiums in Qatar for the World Cup.
Why?
It's because of the rush nature of the construction, and also Qatar has been said to have held the passports, like they get a bunch of foreign workers in to build the stadiums, and they took their passports from them, so they couldn't leave.
What the fuck?
So most of it is from like construction accidents in the heat.
Oh, yeah, because it's so hot.
Because it's so hot, and they've been in such a rush that they can't like take their time and make sure that everyone's adequately hydrated or safe. So I think they did something like, I forget how many stadiums they built, but I was talking to someone who kind of knows about the soccer scene. They said they only built like six big stadiums, but like 6 stadiums. And so to have 6,500 workers die,
It's a lot.
building 6 stadiums,
And what's the population of Qatar?
I do not know. Let's look that up.
2.8 million. So they have less people living in Qatar than we do in Chicago.
Yep, because we got I think it went down, but when I moved here, it was 3.7 million in Chicago.
That's kind of crazy.
So they're building to have this whole event in a place that is
As big as Chicago.
as big as Chicago. Yeah. I mean, obviously landmass wise, it's still pretty small landmass wise, but still.
Dang.
But yeah, so they're also basically keeping their workers captive and killed a bunch of them in the process. So not good. And everyone immediately wondered how Qatar got the bid over these like bigger established nations that already had the infrastructure. And rumors started flying of bribery being the reason the event was going to be held in the Middle East for the first time ever. And rumors would soon turn into fact.
Wah, wah.
So they were like, oh, you're going with the rich nation, huh? I wonder why. Because they were like a long shot to get it for sure over like, you know, they're so small, but is what it is. The selection of the 2018 and 2022 World Cups took place in 2010, and it was the first foul smell coming from FIFA to catch the noses of investigators. It turns out that around this time, the chief security officer for FIFA took tabs on the high-ranking members in the organization and found many of them to have their hands in the cookie jars in a multitude of ways. He had this whole, like, he ran an, like, I guess just because he suspected something, he ran an internal report on people and then marked them as, like, trustworthy, not trustworthy, very untrustworthy, and like all of them were very untrustworthy because he like looked into what they were doing, their financial dealings all separately, just I guess for fun, I don't know. And then he ended up like compiling all this and quitting, flying to America and telling the FBI about it. And the FBI was convinced enough that they began their investigation. And this investigation really caught fire when they ended up making a deal with the CONCACAF executive and FIFA council member, Chuck Blazer.
What a name.
And it's funny, too, because he looks like an even fatter Steve Wozniak and George Lucas hybrid monster. And he would go around with his parrot on his mobility scooter. He took his mobility
This
scooter
sounds
everywhere.
like a made-up person.
He's also... he was a dick because he was also somehow a big womanizer. They always said,
Oh, yeah, he's rich.
you know what? You need to look up Chuck Blazer. I forget my phone's up there with the script on it. You need to see this man before I tell you that he was a womanizer. One of the documentaries I watched painted this story as like a tragic love story with him and this woman who like used to be an actress.
This Santa Claus looking motherfucker.
He does look like Santa Claus. He looks worse without a beard, though, to be very honest with you. Because I guess
Here's his parrot.
Yeah, that's it. That's him. He is a large man. He's very round. So this man was known as a womanizer, even though he probably couldn't see his own penis.
Oh, he definitely cannot see his own penis.
Absolutely not. You probably can't even bend over at all.
Oh wow, he does look quite different without a beard on.
Right? Without a beard on.
Without
Like you can take it off and on.
Yeah, he just looks like his dick stinks.
It probably does because he can't reach it to wash it. And he probably has like a nurse or something, honestly. And
Wash my dick, Sally.
And also, allegedly, he was physically abusive to his longtime girlfriend as well. She was in one of the documentaries and said that he had hit her before. There was some speculation that she just didn't want to be implied in all of the negative stuff that was about to go down afterwards. But
he looks like he's backhanded a bitch.
Yeah, probably. That's how we're choosing to put that?
No.
Okay, cool.
No, I don't know why it came out like that.
What are you, a pimp? Jesus.
Yeah.
But anyway, what we're getting at is he's a very, 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 very large, both physically and metaphorically, piece of shit.
Gave her the blazer backhand.
You got a lot of.
I've got a lot of alliterations today.
A lot of sayings today. The FBI knew that he was a weak link because he had been. He's so stupid. He had been funneling all of his commissions that he made into tax haven bank accounts. So they really had him by the balls for tax evasion. He had not reported an income for like years.
What?
And he was
when you're head of FIFA?
He was the head. He was like one of the high-ranking officials in CONCACAF here. He lived in an apartment in Trump Tower in New York.
Yeah, dude, you don't have an income.
And
whatever.
then the IRS just sees you like, oh, you're not making any money? Huh.
They gave it to me.
So yeah, they grabbed him by the balls. He sang like a canary and went around for the next few years wearing a wire to get dirt on all of his former buddies. They put
he totally looks like he'd rat on people.
They put a wire and a key fob on his keys that he would then place on the table when he'd go to have discussions, and then they'd listen to everything for like 2 years.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's like so obvious too.
Yeah, I think he said something along like, that's blue collar. I would never do that. I'm not going to throw my keys on the table at a nice restaurant. And I'm like, have you seen yourself, dude? Like,
everything about him screams blue collar.
Like, I can't imagine what he was eating like there. There's a lot of that in between probably.
I feel like you're fat shaming Chuck Blazer right
He's
now.
so big. He's a dick. Okay, like if you're
honestly, I'd feel worse if he didn't hit his girlfriend, but he hit her.
I would say if you're an asshole, then you deserve. I'm not going to do that to normal people. I understand that it's hard. Obesity is an epidemic, whatever. But Chuck Blazer's a dick. Okay, he deserves it. Also, by the way, I know we're going off on a big tangent about Chuck Blazer, but you need to understand how awful this guy is. He stole CONCACAF funds to pay for a Hummer in New York, which he then charged CONCACAF $600 a month to park by their New York office. So it was like he stole like $46,000 to buy the car and then charged them $600 a month to park it near the office. So he also paid over $5,000 a month for an extra apartment in Trump Tower in New York for his cats because he wouldn't clean up after them correctly and they were really bad at litter box training. So he
just bought them a whole new apartment?
He bought them a $5,000 a month apartment in Trump Tower and just put them in there. And then he'd go visit them or whatever.
The 2 cats?
Back. Yeah, 2 cats. That's it.
That's insane. I also feel bad for the person who got that apartment after him.
I'm sure they renovated or something. They got money. But still, nevertheless. Some of the dirt that they dug up on those officials that he was wiretapping. Wiretapping's not it. Wired from the conversations when he was wired.
That he caught?
Yeah, they were whatever. Top officials in FIFA took a $10 million bribe from South Africa in return for their votes. The main beneficiary of which was a FIFA official from Trinidad and Tobago, Jack Warner, who had the money paid to him in installments. And this was supposedly in the emails that went back and forth to benefit children's football programs in like the Caribbean, I believe, but instead went to pay off his credit card debts. And half of it was laundered through a grocery store chain in Trinidad and Tobago straight into Warner's direct pockets. And on top of that, $750,000 was forwarded directly to Chuck Blazer, our good old Chucky man, who turns down a $1 million bribe from a competing country for that bid, Morocco. So he was basically like, hey, I know you got that bribe offer from Morocco for $1 million. Well, I got one for $10 million. So how about we take that and I give you $1 million? You get $1 million either way. I get the rest. And then we both vote for South Africa. By the way, the World Cup was in South Africa in 2010.
Oh.
All of this was verified between emails.
Of course.
From Warner and South African President Thabo Mbeki. I'm pretty sure.
That's how I would guess.
Thabo Mbeki.
I know a couple people who have MB names, and it's.
I'm about to say, because one of the players on the Paris team is what's his name? Mbappe.
I know an Mbali.
Mbappe is the player there. But so that's the only reason I'm guessing that, which shows us once again, never discuss financial crime through email. I know we always tell this, and I'm never telling you guys how to get away with it, but it's just the stupidest
It's just
thing.
the stupidest way.
Like they're like,
I feel like you could write a letter and it would be more secretive.
yeah, probably because you could burn the letter afterwards.
Right.
You can't fully get rid of an email. It's stored somewhere.
No, it's on the internet forever.
Yeah, so these people are dumber than you'd think, is what I'm saying. One person did accept a bribe from Morocco, though, but the tournament was eventually awarded to France. That was the other selectee that year. It must suck so much to pay out a bribe and still not win.
Yeah.
That's like paying a bribe to an officer, and he's just like, I'm still going to take you to jail, though. Like,
Yeah,
what are you going to
literally.
do? Say you bribed me?
No, you can't do anything about it.
I just have your money now.
You're just like, fuck.
It's like, you've just given me money, and I'm still going to arrest you. This works out for both of us. Well, not you.
But for me.
But it works out doubly for me. That is not the worst of the allegations, however, as further investigation revealed a 24-year-long streak of corruption where FIFA officials in all aspects accepted bribes and kickbacks from the companies they sold their broadcasting rights to. Over the course of 2 decades, they found a history of well over $150 million was pocketed by FIFA officials in this manner. And if I'm interpreting it correctly, that was just related to the US and South American sports marketing clubs.
Jesus.
So that's only for the rights to show the World Cup in the US and South America. Not everywhere else. They got $150 million.
Wow.
So, and they literally, like, if you read the Department or the FBI indictment for this, they were like, yeah, this has been going on for 2 generations of executives. Like it's not even these executives.
I believe that.
It's the executives before them were doing this, like, rampantly.
Yeah.
With every single World Cup, there were bribes for where it was going. There were bribes for all of the marketing rights. Like, I think Fox is the one who signed the contract with FIFA to show the World Cup in the US, and they happened to get like extended and then like got another extension before they even got to the first extension. So they basically were giving them enough money back to not look for competition at those years. So it locks Fox is the only one who can show the World Cup for the next like 4 World Cups, which is like,
and that's
16
a long
years.
I was gonna say that's a long time because they're once every 4 years.
Yeah, so these like smaller marketing places get shut out. It's basically forms a monopoly of corruption. It's awful. So, like I said, the United States did release an indictment that announced charges against 27 defendants, almost all of them high-ranking officials in the FIFA organization, on 92 counts, mostly on charges of wire fraud, mail fraud, etc., all the normal ones. 7 people were arrested that day in Sweden and awaited extradition to the United States.
Oh, shit.
And multiple are still fighting extradition to this day, almost 7 years later. Some, though, had already pleaded guilty and turned whistleblower, including Big Dummy Charles Blazer, who had agreed to forfeit $1.9 million, but ended up serving no jail time.
Great.
Before he died in 2017.
Fantastic.
From colorectal cancer.
Butt cancer.
Butt cancer. That's what took down old Chucky Blazer. Probably from sitting on his rascal too much.
Yeah, probably. Shoving shit up there.
You wouldn't be able to get anything deep enough. Like his asshole's got to be just enveloped in like layers upon layers. Like good luck.
All that cake.
You can't get your own hand in there. You got to get someone else, and even them, they might not have an arm long enough to get through all that.
He doesn't look like he's got like a voluptuous ass though.
Well, here's the thing. If he's the one doing it, he can't even reach to
Oh,
like,
that's
white
true.
properly.
But somebody else could be putting shit up his ass.
Yeah, maybe.
Come here, Chuck.
This is a gross. I don't want to have to picture this.
This isn't even a good tangent.
This is
I don't even
disgusting.
know why I said all this.
I don't know what you say half the things you do to
Yeah,
be
this one-
TBH, bro.
Yeah, that's fair.
The indictment, by the way, was our good old friend a RICO indictment.
I would love how we never talked about RICO, and then it just feels like lately we've been talking about RICO all the time.
We talked about RICO the first time 4 seasons ago.
I know, but then it feels like maybe it was like a long RICO break.
A little RICO respite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, because now it feels like we talk about RICO all the time.
I mean, I guess if it works, it works. I think they've realized that this is the best way to actually indict and charge these corrupt organizations, because corrupt organization is literally in the fucking title of RICO, instead of going for individuals, which never worked previous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's what's going to get them. So this suit carries along with it a possible maximum sentence of 20 years for anyone involved. 3 other FIFA officials who were not indicted, President Sepp Blatter, Michael Platini, and one Mr. Valk, were suspended from football operations for 8 years because of the conspiracy. And honestly, probably had way more to do with it than that. Sepp Blatter, by the way, somehow reelected as the president of FIFA 2 weeks after this indictment was released.
They didn't care.
How'd they do that? But then literally 2 weeks later was suspended by the FIFA Ethics Council and then handed a ban for 8 years. But he definitely had more to do with it. It's just that I think it's hard to draw the lines to him, so he's probably not going to get convicted, which kind of sucks. The investigation has been lengthy and, believe it or not, is still ongoing. Therefore, no one has been sentenced yet. Although the U.S. has come out since the indictment was unsealed to say that FIFA was definitely bribed in the pick for the 2018 and 2022 World Cups, which went to Russia, which, I mean, bad choice there in retrospect too, and Qatar, obviously. For a while, they didn't release any information regarding those 2 picks. It was everything before that. Mostly that South African World Cup in 2010. But this was about a year ago, actually. They finally announced, they're like, yeah, we now have enough evidence to say that bribery was involved in the Russian and Qatar World Cups. And they're still doing it there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, I guess you make your choice, and they've been, what do you, I mean, I don't know.
They built all the infrastructure,
well, that's
and now
what I was gonna say,
literally
and
6,500 people have died for it, so we might as well. But
well, and it's also hard to pick a new place right now, you know what I mean?
yeah, you probably can't.
Yeah, who's going to do it? Probably somebody who's done it before, you know what I mean? They would have to have someone who already has the infrastructure.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's still going to happen, and hopefully they're just better about it going forward.
They won't be.
They've probably already picked... Oh, I think the next one's actually here in North America. In 2026. So...
Old one.
We probably gave them bribes too, though. So let's be I don't trust our government enough to say they didn't give bribes. They probably did give bribes.
Why would we need universal health care if we can bribe to have the World Cup?
America. Where balls matter more than your health.
Depends on whose balls.
Yeah, white men's balls. Let's get into that. I'm joking. We're not going to get into that. So this sort of international indictment is unprecedented in its scope. Many individuals and corporations were caught up in a scheme of bribery that lasted as long as the lifetime of any current Zoomer. They ran an organization that is only rivaled in corruption by modern prominent crime families, and all over what? Football is a game. It's supposed to be fun. And FIFA has supposedly always been an organization that is dedicated to promoting the progress of that game, even serving youth as a little bit of release from their day-to-day lives, especially in impoverished countries. One of their big things that they go about is that they host all of these programs for children's soccer all across the world, which is nice in its belief, but if the executives up top are robbing the place blind...
That's not cool.
then are they really
helping anything?
Yeah, they're really doing a net good. And they're supposed to be doing more than just giving an excuse for drunk Irishmen to yell something at drunk Brits, even though they are both getting smashed by Real Madrid. As we talked about, I don't watch football. I hope that anyone listening to this that does, I hope that was relevant. Why do these sports industries become so corrupt? We've seen it. We've talked about the MLB before, too. There's a lot of stories about the NFL. Why do they become so corrupt? Could it be that we see them with a childlike wonder that we never think that they can do anything wrong? In a Disney-like effect, because we remember the first time our dad, if you have one of those, unlike me, kicked a ball around with us or threw the baseball around in the yard or a football. Is that the reason that we can't hold these places accountable? Because we see that they oversee a game and something that should be fun. Maybe. But it goes to show you that no matter where you look, if money is involved, corruption is still the goal! 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 Oh, what? You don't like that one? You don't like that outro?
That was actually a decent joke. But then it just kept going.
That's what they do. They just keep going. I could have gone longer, honestly.
No,
I'm
really glad.
They milk that shit.
So glad you didn't do that.
It's because you waited 70 minutes to see someone score. So the announcers are literally sitting there going like, okay, they're running to one side.
Right.
All right, they're running to the other side.
Yeah.
All right, they're running back to the first side. So finally, after 70 minutes of saying that these like however many adult men are just running back and forth on this grass field, they finally get to have some excitement. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Goal! Yeah, they milk it way too much, though. So thank you guys for listening to this week's episode on FIFA. Also kind of light, even though we somehow still mentioned domestic abuse and
death.
And a lot of death and not having fathers. So I guess that's just kind of just on brand for, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Nina, that you had a dad. Huh? You didn't turn out like it.
We didn't say what kind of father he was.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm just kidding. Thanks, Dad, for everything you've done.
Like you're saying you might have a dad, but that doesn't mean you don't have daddy issues.
I'm not saying anything.
Your silence speaks volumes.
So I don't think I have daddy issues.
No, probably not. I don't know.
I don't say daddy in bed. I refuse to say it.
I don't think that's necessarily the only indicator.
All right, we'll talk about it later.
Believe it or not.
We'll Google it later.
Well, you guys don't have to be here for the therapy session. I don't even have to be here for the therapy session.
No, I have a therapist for that reason.
Yeah, Judy's got
Julie.
you. I always call her Judy. That she's just Judy in my mind. So thank you guys for listening to this week's episode. If you liked what you heard and you want to throw us some support, you want to kick something our way on brand today, then you can go ahead and leave us a review or a rating. You can do a rating on Spotify or you can do a rating on iTunes. Our rating's pretty good on Spotify and it's a little bit lower on iTunes. I think that's probably because, honestly, our first season of episodes aren't great. And if you go to iTunes, it shows you those first. And Spotify is the opposite. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts and you've liked what we've been doing with the show, especially recently, it'd be great if you could go on there and leave us a review.
Help us out.
And then bump us up a little bit. That'd be super cool. That being said, you can also support us just by, if you're not listening on one of those two platforms, good for you, breaking the mold. You can just give us a subscribe or a follow. All of them let you do that. That's free. You want to support us also for free? Recommend it to a friend. Mm-hmm. I shove this podcast down people's throats when I can.
Hey, my one coworker started listening.
Hey, there we go. I got people in my cohort to listen to.
She got to work the other day and she's like, I was listening to your podcast on the way here. I'm like, you listen to my podcast and then you have to spend the whole day with me?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do that.
But I mean,
thanks, Nicole.
Hey, glutton for punishment. You can also shove it down people's throats, I guess is what we're getting at. You can force them to choke it down with their last
if they're
breath.
a real one, they won't choke. So.
I'm going to leave that there. If you want to support us in a not so free way, we sell merchandise.
Yes, we do.
We got we're a modern day podcast. We got merch. You can buy that over at TeePublic. The link is in the show description, or you can find it at our website, whitecollarsredhands.com. Click on the link that says see the merch, and it'll take you straight to that page. You can buy something. It's getting cold outside. Get a hoodie.
The hoodies are so warm.
They are, and soft on the inside. They're very nice. So you can do that. You can also reach out to us on our social medias. That's facebook.com/whitecollarsredhands, Twitter at whitecollarspod, Instagram at whitecollars_redhands. We also have a TikTok, whitecollarsredhands. We're very inventive with the names. It's all the same thing. You can find us very easily.
Easy.
You can find us very easily. We got ahead. We were the only White Collars Red Hands. We were out ahead of everyone. So we get the name.
We own the domain.
We do, like, literally own the domain. Oh yeah, that's right. If you do want to suggest something, yeah, you can. Oh wait, no, I did say that already.
All right, fuck it. I guess.
Oh
you
no, I said you can reach out to us at our social media handles, or you can send us an email, whitecollarsredhands@gmail.com, just to reach out, chat. We've actually had people do that. Pretty cool. Or you can reach out and you can make a suggestion. We do a fan submitted episode every season, so it's good to get those in close to now, so we can have those ideas bouncing around in our brains before we make the decision for season 10, our season 10 episodes, which is crazy.
We're halfway to season 10 next week.
I mean, halfway to season 10 from the beginning of season 9. Yes, we are. So it's coming up fast. So get those in, and maybe you'll get a spot. We'll give you a shout out. Hell, if it's good enough, we'll send you merch. We've done that.
Yeah,
We've done that before too.
We have.
Yeah. So get in. Also, Nina, I don't know if you know this. Our podiversary is next week. Our 2-year podiversary. So make sure to join us for that. I've been super busy. I don't know if I have anything special planned this year like I did last year.
Nope.
But you can join in.
We'll figure it out.
You can join in for our podiversary episode next week, right before Halloween.
I love that.
So yeah, thanks guys for listening. We'll see you next week on another episode of White Collars,
Red Hands.